Exciting. And we're live.
All right. May I?
May you what?
You know what I want to do.
You want to give us the gong, do you?
Yes, the gong. The gong. My wife won't
turn off your
bang
speakers
this once a
before we
week.
start.
It's the only thing I get to bang in this house anymore.
That's more information than anybody.
Welcome to Dave Powell from ShootTokyo.
Excellent. Hi, everyone.
I hope you
Welcome,
prepared a musical accompaniment to that gong.
I tried, Dave. I couldn't save you.
Oh, no. Awesome.
Victor, turn your speakers off.
Oh, am I doing that again? No. What? Really? And I don't even have it open. Oh, but okay.
Dave, is that you?
It's not me.
You gotta mute your computer. Or mute the video speaker. Stop the YouTube player.
It's not me. It's not me. Dave Powell.
Yeah, this is you, Dave.
Excellent. Hi, everyone.
I hope you prepared a musical. Just in case, I'll plug in. But I don't have anything else open except one window. So.
I'm getting like crazy audio deja vu at the moment.
Yeah.
What? Really? And I don't even have it open.
So Dave, can you hear me?
Is it me?
I think it's you. I think you've got the video window open.
Because I've got the headphones on.
So just pause the video. This is probably us playing at the moment. Sorry, this is the one. This is the one thing. Damn it, YouTube. They always make. I don't know. It is the. I see the little sound thing moving beside yours, so I think it's you. I can still hear it. It's definitely not me. Yeah, it's you. So Dave, can you? This is where it's actually. Sorry, I should have told you this. It's good. It's a good idea to use a headphone or an earphone or something.
Okay. Is it fixed now?
I think so.
Okay, great.
Anyway, so this is also part of our tradition that we have our technical problems always in the beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like
just by design.
Period. So, Victor, what is happening with you? Victor is there we go. Nice crotch shot. I don't need to see that. I like the Ricky Ricardo mustache thing as well. So, Victor, can you hear us? Victor, we've lost your sound. That's why this is so awesome. I couldn't figure it out. This is Victor's sound is off. So okay, it looks like it's just you and me, Dave.
Awesome, no problem.
Yeah. So welcome, Dave. Victor, you've got to turn on your microphone or do something because it's not working at the moment. If you can hear this. And so Dave is basically. I guess I should do the little introduction while Victor said.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So Victor, so Dave is basically otherwise known as ShootTokyo. And is pretty well known around Tokyo and Twitter and Facebook circles and whatnot as a blog, as first and foremost a photographer and a photography blogger that at a very high profile is doing very well. And I guess I'll show the boom. So this is the blog ShootTokyo. And tell us about the blog. How long have you been running this, Dave?
I've been running it just about since 2010. I started. You know, that sort of was an accident. So I was looking to improve my photography. So a lot of photographers do, 365 projects or 52 projects where you take a photo every day or every week and post it. And I didn't have time for that, so I decided to start a blog and probably didn't think all the way through what it takes to actually do a blog. But you can see I've been running it for quite a while now.
Yeah. And when did you get the blog going? I mean,
Where did I? What? Sorry.
How long has it been going?
It's been going since I think it was October 2010, and I kind of post a couple times a week. The first year I posted almost every day, so I post quite a lot. Now I tend to do much longer posts with kind of longer stories in them.
Yeah. So you're like Mortal Enemies with Danny Chu, I guess.
Mortal Enemies with who?
With Danny Chu.
Danny Chu? No, not at all.
Different market, I would think.
Well,
yeah, completely different market.
Well, I mean, all you need to do is put like little dolls in all of your photos, and it would be pretty much you'd be marching into his territory. But he does awesome like Tokyo street kind of photo blogs, and of course he's a big Nikon guy.
Yep.
In
long stories, I think, as well.
He does, and he does like his posts have like 100 high-resolution photos in them at a time.
Oh wow.
They're good, but they take a lot of bandwidth to load. Although he does them amazingly well, obviously. I mean, that's why he's so successful at the blogging gig. So I understand you as a Leica photographer.
Yeah, I shoot a couple different cameras. So I've got for a point and shoot, I have a Ricoh GR, which are those. It's actually an architect's camera, so they're little 21 millimeter point and shoots. They're fantastic.
What does that mean, an architect's camera? Fill us in. We're novices, or at least I am.
It was originally created for architects. So architects were using it because it was a very wide point of view. So it was a good camera, but for me, it's great for street photography.
See, based on the architects I know, and you said it was made for architects, I thought it'd be like really flamboyant or something and have like lots of crazy colors and angles. But no, that's not it.
No, this one's super. I got it right next to me. This one is about as plain and simple as you can get for a camera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
you can adjust perspective on buildings and stuff like that, right? Is that's the
yeah,
game?
you use it to photograph buildings, and then my primary camera is I shoot Leica, so I've got a Leica M9, which is a color digital Leica. I've got Victor's got some maker's mark. I've got a Leica M monochrome, which is a black and white camera, and a couple of Leica film cameras. I also have a Hasselblad.
Film, nice.
Film camera. You're still using film. That's amazing. Hats off.
A lot of the photos we're going to look at later in the show are all film photos.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Film's got quite a revival, and Japan's got a massive film culture. So it's really easy to buy film. It's really easy to process film. It's really easy to get film cameras. And film, when you're out shooting, really slows you down because there's a kind of a psychological effect to every time you push the button.
Right, because it's only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $2 or $3 as opposed to free.
Right.
So if you go out with a digital camera, you can come home with 100 or 200 images. If you go out with, I can sometimes go with a roll of film and come back with only shooting half a roll of film.
Yeah.
I think they should charge for YouTube for the same reason, because people wouldn't upload shit anymore. What do you think?
Well, it would certainly put a stop to our hobby. But oh man, I had a thought and I dropped it. But
well, so let's talk a little more about the Leica. So you're saying Danny shoots a Nikon. I was originally shooting a Canon. And
okay, I'm a Canon guy myself.
And
I hate Canon guys.
There's a great photographer I'll talk about later named Jay Mazzell. He's got this great quote, which is, if you always have a camera with you, you're increasing your chances of taking a good picture 100%.
He's the iPhone apologist. Yes.
Yes.
The whole point was to always have a camera with you, and why I like it so much is it's a very small, very portable camera.
Right.
So if it was very difficult if you're commuting to work or you're going to a business dinner to carry a giant SLR camera with you.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
Leica is very, very small, so it's very easy to kind of wear around your neck or very easy to kind of throw in a bag, and it doesn't take up much room.
By the way, just random thing. I see Ryan Cabal has just dropped a comment. Do you know of him? He's a good camera photography guy. I don't know if you're familiar with the name, but he's based in Korea, but he comes back and forth. But he does really cool stuff.
Oh, cool.
But I have an image of the Leica as being kind of like the Porsche of cameras. Like it's a little bit upmarket. It's a little bit.
It's like the Ferrari, yeah.
But it's kind of like exclusive.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, it kind of has that reputation because if you go buy a brand new, one of the brand new cameras, they're very expensive. When you go buy the lenses, they're very expensive. The bodies run $8,000 to $11,000. Yeah. Lenses run anywhere from probably $3,000.
That little camera you have is $8,000?
No, not this one. This one's like $700.
Okay,
that's a Ricoh.
He's going to get the Porsche.
Here's the Porsche.
Here's the Ferrari here.
That was the Daihatsu.
Hey, be careful. Hey, hold it.
Now he's getting the Ferrari.
Can you see that? Yeah. So these ones are relatively expensive.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be, right? You can buy lots of second-hand cameras really well, and you can buy a Leica M6 film camera for $1,200 or something.
Mm.
But people tend to talk about it in the extremes. They always talk about the most expensive lens, the most expensive.
Of course,
body.
right.
But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But you also, I believe, you're also paying for what you're getting, what you pay for, and I think it's a beautiful camera.
Now I remember I had a flashback to one of your early blogs where you talked about how you got into Leica photography, and I remember you were a 5D guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. So what you're remembering is I went to this photo workshop, and
Right.
I had my Canon 5D, this like gigantic 3-pound lens, and I had a backpack that probably had 5 more 3-pound lenses in it, and I was ready to capture any image that would possibly appear in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was dying trying to carry this backpack around Tokyo in August.
Yes.
And I think he was a trader or something, but there was some guy who had this little tiny Leica with like 1 or 2 little lenses in it. And in my head, as we're all kind of standing around waiting for this workshop to start, I'm like,
trader. See, and this is the thing. I'll bet he was driving a Porsche as well.
Probably. But in my head, I'm like, what's this guy doing here? This is like a real workshop for real photographers. This guy's got this little toy camera. And, I was kind of making fun of him in my head. And then as we're shooting, everyone else is like, shooting 25 frames a second. And he's, really slowly focusing and clicking one frame every couple of seconds. And I went home and I was just kind of telling my wife, I'm like, I didn't even know what this guy was doing here. And then he ended up sending me a few photos of me he took, and I spent hours that night looking at his portfolio site.
Wow.
And I was like, how did he get these images, and how did he get the color in these images and the detail? And I was just so mesmerized by it. And the more I looked at it, so then I asked my wife, without knowing how much the camera cost, I said, hey, I'd love to pick up one of these. It'd be a great camera to kind of throw in my bag and carry around. And she's like, sure. And then I looked on Amazon, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I'm paying that much for a camera.
Yeah.
And then for months, I went back to that guy's website and kept looking at his images, going, God, how does he get that look and that color and that detail? And then, like 2 months later, I owned the camera and sold all my Canon stuff.
I can relate to that in an incredibly embarrassing way. I can relate to that story. When I started on YouTube, I had my crappy, actually it wasn't crappy, it was the top of the line, low resolution, 15 frame per second webcam from Logitech.
15 frames per second.
That's what they would shoot if you tried to up the resolution to like 480p and really push the envelope.
Right.
And whenever I look at a video of myself on it, it was kind of high res and clear. But whenever I recorded a YouTube video, it just looked like crap, and I couldn't understand why my videos looked like crap, but SXE Phil's videos looked high resolution. And I spent probably weeks in front of the computer playing with different output settings and trying to figure out why are his videos bright and sharp and why are my videos crap. And it took a long time. It actually took a very long time, and even maybe to really fully appreciate it, it took when I got into interchangeable lens photography to start to appreciate. It wasn't output settings. It wasn't CPU power. It was glass. It was glass and sensor size and light. And I learned that through the crappiest type of camera possible, right? Like through a webcam, like I'm using right now.
Yeah.
And the difference between switching between that and just increasing the sensor and improving the glass, and even if you're outputting on the same output, on the same resolution, everything, it's just a completely different image. And that was although what you're saying is a completely different level of class and style. I had the same revelation when it suddenly clicked with me. Oh, that's where it's at. And when you have that epiphany that you can actually do this much better on the same output format, but you can get this much more detail and clarity.
Yeah. Well, it's also the other thing about a Leica is it doesn't have a lot of fancy features. I think that the newest one does. But the one I'm shooting, it doesn't have live view. It doesn't have all these, it's a manual focused lens.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have shutter priority. It only has aperture priority or manual. So I'm typically shooting the camera in aperture priority or 100% manual, and I don't have any other settings, right? And that's it. So I really focus on taking a photograph as opposed to, playing with, I've had people loan me their Nikons and I can't shoot it because it just has so many settings that, and so many autofocus things that I never get what I want in focus.
So simple, less is more.
That's what I think, yeah.
Yeah. But you're saying that the Leica blew you away like that in comparison to the 5D that you were using. And 5D is considered like top of,
Yeah, people love the 5D.
Yeah, it's a fantastic camera, but it depends what you're shooting, right? So if I was a commercial photographer, I'd probably be shooting, the latest, the 5D Mark III, right? Because it's an absolutely beautiful camera. But it depends what you're doing, right? And for the style of photography I'm doing and the images you get, I'm much happier with this. And there's a great saying, right? Is like, use whatever camera inspires you. right? And some people get inspired by their iPhone, so great, go out and shoot your iPhone all day long. There's nothing bad about it. These cameras happen to inspire me, and because they inspire me, I end up wanting to carry them with me all the time. I want to shoot all the time.
So here's a question, because I had this thing as well. When I got my mirrorless camera, which I got partly for the portability and the ease, but also it's got a lot of very video-friendly features, and that's part of why I went in that direction. But I really tried to carry it around with me, and there was a guy at my old work who actually was a Laker guy, and he, for exactly the same reason as you, he carried it in his satchel with him with his other work stuff, and it didn't take a lot of space. But so how do you take a backpack with you to work every day, or how do you carry your kit? You keep your kit on you, I guess.
That's my question too.
Yeah, I actually wear my camera all the time, going to and from the office. So I actually wear it around my neck, hanging, and the Lake is small enough that you can do that. And for a briefcase, I'm actually using a camera bag that I've kind of modified to be a half camera bag, half briefcase.
So you keep lenses in the briefcase?
Yeah, so I can fit one lens and the camera on the left side. The right side is kind of where you fit your electronics and other things you need to pack. And then there's the sleeve in the back for a laptop.
So you walk around with a Leica hanging around your neck on your commute?
Yep, and I take, a lot of people say, oh, gee, where do you find all this time to shoot? And I'm typically, most of my photographs are taken on the train or on the way to work. So I'm not really out shooting. I'm just sort of going about my day taking photos.
Okay,
what do you mean you take them on the train? You're taking pictures, literally when you're
not those type of photos, Victor.
No, I'm taking them while I'm commuting, right? So if I'm walking to the station, I see something, I take a photo.
Okay.
If I see somebody interesting on the train, I take their photo.
Not actually on the train while you're riding, though.
No, not. Sometimes if the train's going between stations, I might take photos.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen, you've got some fantastic train, commute, and it's true. Well, actually, and this is one of the things I kind of do want to get into. The commute is one of those real features of lifestyle in Japan, right? The fact that you're in this, this massive humanity with everyone kind of trying to be as polite and tolerant and silent as possible. It's a real thing about that defines Tokyo, right? And, and whenever you see that kind of the commuting photography, it's one of those things that resonates with me as well. Oh, that's where I live. But it's also one of those things. So many times I've thought, man, even today, I was on one of these trains today. I was just thinking, this is I hate them, but there's something as well I think it'd be really cool to capture. But to pull out the camera, obviously that's a situation where everybody is around. Nobody is obviously pulling out the camera. It's isn't it kind of awkward to take those kind of shots? And you've got some classic ones, people facing you on a train and stuff like that. But
yeah, I like that.
Just a simple. How do you do that? Because I find that kind of thing really hard to do.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things, right? So one, I don't have a lot of settings, right? So I'm shooting aperture priority, like I said. So I've got my camera already around my neck, and I tend to always have it pre-exposed. So as I'm walking, I already know the exposure I want to shoot at. Yeah. So if I see a scene, I'm not going to spend 2 or 3 minutes playing with settings. I can literally just raise my camera and focus. And we can talk about it when we look at some of the photos later.
Yeah.
I think it's awkward depending on how you approach the people, right? If you're shooting with a really long lens from far away, then it feels creepy. But I have a really happy personality. I'm really smiley and friendly, and I just kind of walk up and snap the photo. And if it's digital, I often show it to them. Yeah. And I carry these cool little ShootTokyo buttons and stickers that I always give out to people. So if I take someone's photo,
that's a great technique. I was going to ask you how you do that, but can I ask a couple basic questions that I think a lot of people. How did you get started? What's your what do you do for a living? How did you get started? And ShootTokyo? How did you birth ShootTokyo?
Right. Yeah. Sure. So I work in technology, and the kind of jobs I have, I end up having to travel quite a lot. So I was looking for a hobby to kind of have a work-life balance, and I wanted.
This is a hobby?
Yeah. So this is just like a hobby on steroids.
God, I thought you were a pro. You were obviously a pro. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I get that.
Foot in mouth. Okay, take it out.
Yeah, so it's a hobby, and I was looking for some way to balance work and life, and because I'm traveling so much, it's really hard to have go to this class on Tuesdays at 7 or go to this workshop on Thursday at 6. It just didn't fit my lifestyle, and photography seemed to sort of fit my lifestyle. And I was traveling to all these places. I've been to 50 countries or something, and I've got intimacy with the airports. I know all the ways to get the best mileage when you're traveling to and from, and I don't know, but everybody would always say, hey, have you been to the Taj Mahal? And I'm like, no. Have you been to the Great Wall? No. Right, but I've been to all these places. I've just never been to these locations.
Yeah.
So photography kind of turned out to be a good hobby. And like I said, I was looking for a way to, to improve my photography. And the beauty of doing like a 365 project or something like that is you sort of force yourself to learn mistakes, right? So let's say you're shooting headshots and you guys both wear glasses, right? The novice photographer, the first thing they're going to do when they take a photo is they're going to focus on your glass, and then your eyes are going to end up being a little bit dull, and the photo won't look great. But when if you're shooting every single day, you will quickly realize that, and you'll know to focus on the eyes or use a wider, different aperture that will allow both of them to be in focus. So the beauty of the big benefit I got out of blogging was you started learning through your mistakes very, very quickly. Right? And you're able to, increase your skills as a photographer very, very, very fast. So to me, that was like one of the really big benefits of doing a blog.
Okay. How was ShootTokyo born?
You mean the name?
Well, the whole thing. Well, there's actually, I want to jump to another question. There's a guy in Shinjuku, there's a guy, every time I visit Tokyo, which is only twice a year, there's a guy at Shinjuku who's always at the intersection taking pictures. Is that you by any chance?
No, it's not me.
But do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Because there's a guy that every time I go there, and I've seen him in other videos as well, he's always there taking pictures.
Oh,
you know
really?
what I'm talking about, Hikosaemon?
Claude Speed is trolling you, by the way, saying that with a name like ShootTokyo, you couldn't get away with a name like that in America.
I know you would. Shoot America. Shoot New York. Yeah,
it is actually one of the things. When I started really getting, I must admit, I had a burst, which is kind of, I was talking earlier to Dave. I was kind of flattered that he noticed it when I kind of went through a time. I really did post a lot with my Lumit, with my GH1 when I first got it. And it's kind of, people were asking me on Facebook, so, why don't you take more photos of people? I was like, yeah, I find it really difficult to shoot people, but I try to get more used to shooting them when I do this. And I wasn't even thinking about how it might read that I kept referring to, my getting increasingly comfortable shooting people more and more. I was getting comments back like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah, people can misunderstand the ShootTokyo. But, I looked for a name forever, and I was.
It's a good name.
Yeah, I was going
to go name.
I was looking up Dave Powell Photography, Dave Photography, all these names, and every one of them was taken. And I don't know where I thought of it, but I just looked for ShootTokyo, and it was available for like $4 a year or something.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
If I can jump in, I'm just going through and collecting. There are some great questions in the comments. Do you mind if I just kind of rapid fire you some
Sure.
questions for the commenters? And everyone, throw your questions in. I tell you, Dave is a bottomless pit of information on photography in Tokyo and all sorts of stuff. But the first ones that we've got, so first of all from Joe Casey, 2 questions right off the bat. One, how long did it take you to get, and this is kind of coming back to what we talked about just now, how long did it take you to get comfy asking people to take, if you could take photos?
Yeah.
And the second question is, what time of the day do you favor for taking photo expeditions?
Oh, okay. Well, so getting comfortable taking photos of people, when I first started, it was like probably everybody who starts is you try to get a longer lens and you're trying to shoot from far away. But the problem is you just don't get the intimacy you want, right? So probably when I first started, I was probably using like a 135 millimeter lens. I now probably shoot people with a 28 millimeter lens, which means that I'm usually standing 3 feet away from them. And I talked earlier about Jay Mazel, and I took his workshop, and I started taking a lot of photos in Japan, and I got the kind of this almost universally the same comment from everybody when I post photos. They said, "Oh, you're able to do this because you live in Japan and people are polite and they don't want to say no to you." And then when I went to New York City, I was mentioning that to Jay Mazel, and he said, "I don't think so." He said, I think it's the same in New York." He said, "Why don't you?" And the way his workshop works is you go in the morning and he beats the hell out of you and critiques you and makes you feel really bad about yourself. And then you go shoot. You go shoot for about 8 or 9 hours, and then you come back and he does the same thing again. It's actually a fantastic workshop. The best comment I heard was somebody wrote one of the comments and they said, "The images I was proud of on Monday, I was ashamed of by Friday." And this guy really pushes you out of your comfort zone. So what he told me to do, because he was asking me, I said, "I want to shoot more people." He said, "Okay, great, go shoot 100 people today." And he said, "Come back and we're going to review your images." And he gave this awesome piece of advice. He said, so let's say you were walking down the street Hiko, and I go, "Oh, I like your sweet shirt, and I like your glasses are kind of cool." Then we take your photo. He said, "The worst sin you can do is bother this guy going about his day and then take a bad photo of the guy." And he said, "So what you have to do is get really comfortable." And he said, "Find a way to, whether it's like if you like his glasses, then just be genuine about it and say, hey, those are cool glasses. Can I take your photo for 2 seconds?" And he said, and then check out a background, make sure you got him, where the light is flattering the way it's hitting him. Because you have the people that stop people, then they're so nervous. And when I talked earlier about the train, I'm always kind of pre-exposing, pre-doing my settings. So when I stop you, now all I've got to kind of worry about is setting you up in the right location.
I love that what you just said, that phrase that he said, that you're interfering with this guy's day, worst part of his day, so the least you could do is take a good photo of him. I love that. That reminds me of my dad. Like, I remember being taken out hunting for the first time, and we shot rabbits, and it was we took it home, and I discovered I don't like the taste of rabbit. And my dad was kind of like, well, son, we've gone to a lot of trouble here. This rabbit's actually sacrificed its life to go on our dinner
for
table. You're going to eat it, and you're going to like it. It's kind of it's that kind of thing that, where stop and think about it, that's your reason to do it well. That's a great motivating thing. That's a great, I love that.
Yeah, and so that's why I started carrying out these, I either carry business cards or I carry these little ShootTokyo.
I think that's an excellent idea, yeah.
And I give them to people, and I just say, here you go, shoot me an email if you want a copy of the picture. Maybe 1 in 10 people, or send me a mail, but at least you're given that opportunity, and it kind of legitimizes you, as opposed to you're some creepy guy who just tried to take their photo.
And what time of the day do you like to go out to photograph?
So like I said, I'm usually doing it on my commute, right? So I'm
in the morning.
Very often, when I'm going to work, I go to work around 7:30 in the morning, so I'm catching the morning commute.
Around this time of year, and for some reason I think Tokyo just has the most amazing skies, because we have these crazy jet streams that go high over Tokyo, and it's exactly this time of year when you can go home when there's like sunsets, especially as you go more into summer. Yeah. Tokyo just gets the wildest sunsets, which I used to love catching on my commute home. That's what you can get. I think Tokyo actually has great commuting hours, depending on what your working hours are.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the other good thing about Tokyo is it's very repetitive, right? So if you're a new photographer, for example, the train's going to stop. The conductor guy's going to come out and look down and wave his arm. Yeah. So you can kind of practice that shot, and then maybe you don't get it right the first time, but you sort of set up for 3 minutes later, 6 minutes later, 9 minutes later, it's going to happen again and again.
Right.
So it's also a great way to kind of keep learning, because it's going to the repetition is going to happen. But if you don't live in Tokyo, you can do the same thing with a bellhop in a taxi in front of a hotel, or some other kind of scene that would just kind of keep repeating itself.
Yeah. Victor, your turn. I got
a quick question. I'm actually very curious about the language that you use when you ask for permission to take photographs. You do it in Japanese, I assume.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just say, shashin totte ii desu ka? Like, I'm just as direct and polite as can be.
Oh, really? Just shashin totte ii desu ka? That's all.
Yeah, and then they say sure, and they say okay, great, and then I say okay, do you mind moving over here? And I try to, you try to talk to people.
Oh, really?
And, an interesting thing that actually I learned from Jay in that workshop as well is he said if you get them engaged and they're not talking to you, he said often if you just walk around, they're going to turn following you. Right, so if you want to turn somebody to the light, quite often you can just turn them by walking the other way, and they're going to just kind of turn with you.
Yes.
I've got a thing, and this isn't in the comment. This is from me, but I must admit, and this is partly for my own psychological thing. Like sometimes when I'm feeling self-conscious, taking photos, walking around in Tokyo, I say mentally in my head, "I'm a tourist. I'm a tourist. It's okay. It doesn't look weird that I'm taking a photo," and it is one of the. It's an advantage that I guess people that look like us have. Do you play that? Do you play the tourist, or do you?
Gaijin card. It's called the Gaijin.
Yeah, I mean, sure, we all do it at some point, but I think it's more. Again, it goes back to your approach, right? And if you're happy, go lucky. I mean, especially if you're stopping people, the worst thing somebody's going to say to you is no, right? I mean, if there's some big scary-looking person that has a gun or something, then obviously you don't go ask them to take a photo. But if you're walking down the street, doing some sort of business, and I just walk over and go, "Do you mind if I take your photo?" The worst thing you say is, "Sorry, I don't want you to take it." And you go, "Okay, great, have a nice day." And then sometimes I'm like, "Sorry, man, yeah, sure, I had to take a photo."
So it's not a good hobby for people who suffer mass rejection.
Yeah, that's right. But if you think about it, I mean, if you ask 10 people, I bet you get rejected once or twice, and you'll get 8 yeses. if you approach it in a really friendly, outgoing.
This sounds like the advice that my Japanese friends who pick up girls around train stations use.
That's right.
They pick up people. Well, you know, I was out in Nagoya today just doing interviews with two other YouTubers, Tomoko and Regan. And as a group, it's really easy. But usually it was Tomoko, the Japanese woman in our group, who would approach the people. And yeah, the way she would approach was just very friendly with a big smile on her face, and very few people turned us down. I was impressed. In fact, but one thing that really legitimizes everything is, I think what you do is you have the cards ready and the stickers.
Yeah, let me grab one.
Nice shot of the chair. I have to say something else. It just stays on
Hey,
the
chair!
Yeah, so
Sure.
see, so I have these great little cards, and people love them because they get 3 stickers or 3 buttons, and they have all my social links on them. So it's a very
Oh, you're kidding! You give one of those out to every person you should?
Yep.
Wow, that is a sweet deal. That's a great deal. That's a better. I'm gonna steal that idea. That's a great deal.
I just got I sit in my camera bag, and I'll just whip it out and go, here, omiyage dozo, and they always go, oh, arigato, and they're so helpful, so grateful, and they throw it in their pocket or whatever, and often they put the pin on. So
I just have a little piece of paper where I just printed up the name of the site where it's going to appear. It'll check this in a week, and your interview will be here.
I write it on toilet paper and I give it to them.
Wet toilet paper. Well, that's great.
I made these this summer.
Nice.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
That we should have 2.5 Oyaji fans.
That's right.
They're
very inexpensive.
Really? How much does it cost to get those made?
God,
I thought he was saying we should have fans who like 2.5 Oyajis, like people.
Well, no, that's what I could say. We actually have fans.
Yeah, we have no fans.
we can actually. We're out of stock. We have to make more.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was like $450 for 1,000. I mean, it's pretty cheap when you start getting into volume.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's a T-shirt order.
But for a thing like if we're going out and about, it makes a lot of sense to have something like that, doesn't it? A lot of sense.
I think Hiko and I would both have marital problems if we put out that money on.
We have them anyway.
That's true. How is your wife? Can I ask you about that?
Sure.
How is she supportive because Hiko and I both have, I think, slight resistance or more resistance, slight, with our wives, concerning this hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is a lot more private than I am, so she doesn't appear on my blog.
Does she support this?
Oh yeah, she thinks it's great that I have a hobby. I mean, before I just worked 80 hours a week, so this is, I guess, still working, but just in a different capacity.
And it doesn't get in the way. She doesn't complain like, oh, too much, or she doesn't. She respects it. She doesn't.
Yeah, I have to
demean
balance
you,
it,
or like Hiko's wife calls me his girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Go talk to your girlfriend now.
My wife calls my photographer friends my girlfriends.
Oh really?
There we go.
It's there. It's there.
See, this is we were on a 2.5 Oyajis when we're all talking about getting the same insults from our wives.
That's funny.
I got another question from the crowd. So from
let's get the questions from the crowd. Yeah.
I've got one from F-Stop Junkie. He's got a great question. He's got a question for you, Dave. How do you keep your images also cohesive? And does he ever shoot other than street photography and not show it? Are you conscious about being consistent with the style and the images?
I actually think I'm pretty inconsistent in the style because I'm mixing so many formats together. Mm. So I think that's interesting that it does have a consistent look because I'm shooting color film, black and white film, black and white digital, color digital. Mm. But still, the ones I do take a lot of photos that I don't post are just family photos. But they end up being pretty much the same sort of style and format.
Mm.
Yeah.
I must admit,
I don't really have I'm not a secret closet landscape photographer or anything like that.
I do when I go on vacation. I must admit, when I go through all the digital photos, I separate them into 2 folders. The family Facebook account and the publish the blog account. Yeah.
That's exactly my Lightroom category is exactly those 2 categories. It's family and hobby. And
yeah. Oh, that's cool. I got another one. I get from Raz El Ghul. I got a question here. How do you go about trying to get that perfect shot?
I don't know. I'm going to keep quoting Jay Mazel because his class had such an impact on me. It was so fantastic.
Yeah.
But when he started, he asked every, we sort of, if you don't know Jay, so if for those that don't know Jay, he's probably one of the most eminent photographers alive today. And he lives in I want to say it's a 78-room building in New York City. That's his studio. It used to be a bank.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
78 rooms in New York City?
Yeah, I think it's 40,000 square feet.
Jesus Christ.
It's gigantic. So the entire first floor of the bank is where you start the workshop. And we were all sitting around this table, and if you don't know Jay, I mean, he was like Nikon's premier photographer for years. He basically shot, the Fortune 25, their annual reports every year. I mean, he's a pretty amazing photographer. And so he asked that exact question. He said, how many photos does it take you guys to get your best shot? And we all very proudly, like 2 pictures, 3 pictures, 1 picture. And we're really proud about our skills. And Jay goes, God, I must suck as a photographer. And everybody was just like, didn't know what to make of that. He goes, it takes me on average 400 to 500 shots to get the exact shot I need. He said, so maybe let's think about this for a second. He said, am I just a really bad photographer, or are you guys not putting enough energy in? And the whole point was, you got to keep trying it from all these different angles, but find the angle that nobody else has seen before.
So what are you aiming for though when you're taking your 100 photos or whatever? What's in your mind in terms of what you're working towards? What's your kind of thought process while you're out shooting?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I love to shoot the open train doors. Is one of my favorite things to shoot because there's it's almost like a world into itself. 1 inch out of the train car, and that's like normal life. And the second you enter this world, everyone's fighting for personal space, and you see all the uncomfortableness of all the people getting crushed together, and it just makes for a very funny scene. And I've captured some really funny things, but what I'll do there is I'll set up my color, my light, and then I'm just kind of waiting for that right scene to happen. Yeah. I wrote a blog post not long ago, I think called "Setting the Stage" or something like that, and it was trying to teach people that were new at photography. You can basically kind of go in there, and so the light, the train's going to be in the exact same location every 3 minutes.
Right.
Kind of know how far away you want to be to it, so you can kind of set all that up, and then just sort of stand there, and then every 3 minutes you'll have a new cast of characters that are going to be in your show. And then maybe you take 5 or 10 photos before the door closes to get the right, connection between all the characters.
Are you using a tripod or monopod at all, or you're just standing there?
Nope. Yeah, I use a tripod like once a year. I hate carrying things.
Yeah,
so
of course. Yeah. I thought so, but yeah.
With the Leica, you got that sensor in that glass. You don't need it.
Yeah, well, I'm using fast glass for one, but I'm also really lazy. The fact that I'm lazy is I'm not carrying anything.
Yeah. And this is the thing, and actually that's what kills me about, so with the Micro Four Thirds, what I appreciate about it, I think learning on Micro Four Thirds is great because the sensor is smaller and you do have to learn to use the manual settings and everything. You're forced to learn your way around the camera because you can take shots that can kind of hold up, but you've got to, but to do it without a tripod, and you've got to really figure out the balance between shutter speed and ISO and how open you want to have the aperture and everything, and it's a fantastic way to learn, but it also makes me appreciate that having just a small fast camera like what you use is kind of great, especially for going around in street photography. You need to be able to move about and so on. And although one thing I must admit, here's a question: I don't think I've ever seen you do anything like long exposure photography. Maybe
I've done a little bit of it. It just doesn't excite me because it's sort of, like when I first started, I did some landscape photography, and I think I was okay at it. I was able to sell some prints from it, but it felt very much like a recipe.
Yeah.
And I sort of knew if I showed up at the right point of every city's got that point where you shoot the skyline from, and I know if I'm 20 minutes before sunset or 20 minutes after sunset, and I do these 5 settings, I know I'm going to get exactly the right image. And then I captured one for Singapore, for Hong Kong, for Tokyo, for all these locations, but they just kind of felt sterile to me. So I kind of feel like long exposure does the same. So the only time I do semi-long exposures, if I'm trying to shoot construction at night or something, I might use a tripod because that'll be interesting. I can't hold the camera still long enough. but for the most part, like the streaky car lights and stuff just kind of get boring to me.
So for me, that was my entry. That was like the first thing when I got this camera. That's the first thing I wanted to learn to do, and that's where I got the tripod and everything. And maybe it did wear on me after a while. Although Tokyo was great for that as well, just because there's so many moving artificial light sources. But you know what? This is a good segue to. Shall we start looking at the photos? Because you said
I'd like to hear some stories behind some of those photos. Yeah.
So is this okay? I'm gonna let me move this onto full screen.
So Dave sent us some photographs that he picked. You picked these out, right, Dave?
Yeah, I just picked a few out. These are going to be going in the book that I'm working on. So they're. I just randomly picked a couple that I think are interesting.
So I've got this. This should be fixed. Let me just check actually that this is fixed on the podcast screen.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite photos I took last year. It looks a little blurry though.
It's okay on my end. It looks pretty
is it? Okay, maybe it's just
It's probably the bandwidth of the live thing.
There we go.
It's 720p. It's when you live stream a broadcast. There's a limit to how good it looks. Of course, these are visible on your blog, or are they somewhere that people could go?
Yeah, if you go to,
these are on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, they're on Kickstarter and they're on my portfolio site as well. So if you just go to ShootTokyo and click portfolio, you can see high-res copies as well. Yeah. So this picture was actually, this is a photo I've wanted to take ever since I moved to Japan, and this was a young apprentice geisha in Gaian, in Kyoto, and this is actually shot on film, so this isn't digital, and this was right at dusk, so we talk about limitations. I was shooting ASA 400 films. I was basically shooting at ISO 400. So if you look at the photo, it's actually a little soft, which is one of the nice qualities of film.
I like that, yeah.
And if you've ever been to Gaian, there's the main geisha house right on the corner, and there's literally 100 people waiting to take photos trying to catch the geisha leaving. And I'm like, I'm never going to get a photo here. There's got to be a back door. They've got to be down the street somewhere. So I just went to the exact opposite end of the street and stood around waiting. And literally, as soon as I got there, this young girl was walking into this tea house, and I just snapped a couple frames as fast as I could. And this turned out to be one of my favorite photos of the year.
Awesome.
So luck, basically, on this one.
Well, yeah, I mean luck and opportunity, right? I mean,
well, you created the opportunity.
Yeah, and again, I was pre-focused, so I had my focus. I knew what aperture I wanted to shoot. I knew the shutter speed would freeze a subject. I knew all those conditions were true, and then I just kind of had to find, the right subject.
Yeah. So.
Okay, great.
I love these guys. Look at these guys.
So that's a great example of approaching. So this was actually in Shinjuku. So
I know this. This is near the Yodobashi camera, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I just picked up some film, and I think
I think that's what Hiko and I are going to look like in a couple of years.
That's right. That's right. We're well on the way there. These are dignified gentlemen. I love these guys.
Yes.
Well, these guys were obviously out having a couple of drinks, and they were trying to figure out which restaurant they were going to go to, and the guy in the right kind of, I was just stepping up to take a photo. I was shooting a 28mm lens, so that perspective, I'm probably 2.5 feet away from the guy's hand. And he looked over to me and just gave me this giant smile and started waving. I think he hugged me after I took his photo.
Really?
What happened correctly.
That's what you call a gaijin card, but working perfectly. And
that's right.
That's a great picture.
Yeah, I like that scene.
And you shot this is shot on film or digital?
No, this one was shot with my Leica monochrome. So the monochrome is a black and white only camera. So it's a digital camera, but they've stripped all the bare filter off of it, so it only produces images in black and white.
If I can make an observation, and maybe this is, and I'm looking at this on my screen. You can see it is obviously low light. You can see what kind of ISO. This is quite high ISO. I mean, maybe it's it's a bit grainy.
Yeah, well, I add grain to the photo. The images from the monochrome are very flat, so I actually add grain to them. So I add a filter grain to them.
You do that in the processing, post.
Yeah, you have to process the monochrome images, or they're very one-dimensional.
Right.
But yeah, I was probably shooting it, because I more care about freezing the person, so it was probably 3000 ISO or something, which is very high for a Leica.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, no. So that's fascinating. That's deliberate, because you get some people who become so fanatical about trying to get rid of grain, but it looks good on the photo. But it was just kind of
looks really good. Yeah.
Whether that was like that was something that was also like enhanced or deliberately added. I think it looks great.
Yeah, it's deliberately added, and that's one of the things with, like, when I first started shooting film, I was kind of, like, fanatical about it's not sharp, the image doesn't look sharp.
Yeah.
And, like, look at that geisha photo, it's not sharp at all. But that was sort of the beauty of the images back, you know, when people were shooting film. It wasn't, you know, you're not blowing the thing up 100% and then zooming in as much as you can and making sure everything is sharp.
Right.
I think that's what gives the image character. It's got a little gritty, right? Which is what makes it look nice.
It does. And it's kind of and again, this is just me having a very simplistic kind of view of man, all these photographers have like perfect photos, like everything processed, so there's not a single grain or there's not a single. But no. This looks good exactly because of that, actually, and that's what's interesting. This is
cool. And I don't do a lot of post processing. The only ones I post process are my monochrome because you have to.
Okay.
You know, they're sort of giving you a raw image that you can then do something with.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next one. Well, this is a cool shot.
Yeah. So this was the day after my Jay Mazzell workshop. So the one thing about photography that I love is it is the great equalizer.
So wait a minute.
And I've met so many amazing friends through photography.
Wow. That is a great show, yeah.
This was a gentleman I met in the Jay Mazzell workshop, and he was this slightly older guy who I ended up getting paired up with a few times. And I said, "What do you do?" He said, "Oh, I'm a consultant." I said, "Oh, okay, great." You know, we didn't really talk about work much, and we just went out and shot a lot of photos together. And then that Saturday, he said, "Oh, do you want to stop by my apartment? I'm having some people over for brunch." I said, "Oh, that'd be wonderful." And he gave me his card. I didn't really look at it and just kind of put it in my pocket. And then when I woke up on Saturday, I handed it to the taxi driver, and he drives and stops right in front of Trump World Tower, which, if you know New York City, that sits on the corner of Central Park West and Columbus Circle.
Right.
It's an amazing address, and he was very close to the top of Trump World Tower, and it was amazing. But you know, I talked earlier. One of Jay's great quotes was, "Take the photo that nobody else is taking." Right. Yeah, and when you start out as a photographer, you kind of have to copy people and take the photo that everybody else is taking.
Right, of course.
Learn. But, you know, and Jay was telling a story about when he was taking a photo of something and somebody said, "Oh, you're doing it wrong, Jay, you're supposed to shoot it this way." And he said, "Well, if you have, then I don't need to." And
of course.
So when I shot this, it was, you know, the address for this apartment is, you know, kind of the corner of Central Park. So everybody was kind of shooting straight out. And in New York City, the windows only open a very small crack. So I actually had to take my lens off my camera, and I ended up holding the camera against the side of the building and was able to capture the reflection of the taxis coming back into the side of the building. And I ended up giving the guy who owned the apartment a giant print of it. And he said he lived there for 15 years and had never seen that view before.
I had the same instinct when you said this was the day after the workshop. I had the same reaction that Mr. Life U has, which is don't jump.
Yeah, right. There was no jumping there.
Yeah.
The window opened about this much and scratched the crap out of my camera trying to get it out the window.
I've got a question that I think I used to work for Aperture Books. Do you know them?
Yep.
Okay. And I did the publicity. I was an assistant publicist many years ago when I was in college. And the first book I ever worked on was by Bruce Davidson, and it was called Subway.
Yeah.
And what he did was he just roamed the subways of New York City and took pictures. And he said he never had a problem until the last day when he finished. When he was finally finished, he took the last picture of his book, and he relaxed and sat back, and he got mugged. And they took, like, all his equipment, right?
Oh, no.
And he told me, he said, and I don't even remember what he looks like, but I obviously had a conversation with him. It's so long ago. But he said it was because until that day, I had become, I was a stalker, I was a prowler, I was the predator. And the day that I relented, no, I gave up that, relax, or I gave up that, you know, that job as being I stopped being the predator, I just sat back and relaxed, I became the victim.
Yeah.
So, do you have any insight into the predator mind, or have you ever felt like that, or? I mean, because like in New York City, you also took pictures in New York City. Did you feel like you had to take on some kind of persona or attitude?
Not at all. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too bubbly and friendly, but I just stop people and I'm like, "Hey, cool glasses, can I take your photo?" And, you know, and so finish the story I was telling earlier. So I did it to enough people that, like, so I shot a lot in Tokyo, then I did it I've done it now in Australia, I've done it in New York City, I've done it in London, I've done it in China, I do it in San Francisco whenever I go there. And it's how you approach the people. Well, I mean, I definitely don't take a predator mindset at all. I take a, my
Have you ever
stress.
had any problems?
No, I never had anybody get angry. Like, you always hear these people that tell these stories like, some guy walked over and
In the
smashed
comments now, people are saying I got in trouble in Akihabara for taking pictures. People abused me.
Maids-in-laws and stuff like that. Yeah, which is asking for trouble, by the way. And don't. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And if so there's a great example, right? If there's some girl standing there in a maid outfit and I wanted to take that photo for some reason, then I would probably walk over and say, "Do you mind if I take your photo?" Right? If I saw Hiko standing holding a briefcase, kind of alone in the intersection from a distance, I might shoot that and then walk over and go, "Hey, check this out," and I'd show him the picture.
If I was in a maid costume, I hope you would ask first.
Yeah, if you were in a maid costume, I'm shooting that right away.
If you were in a maid costume, I would make a viral video.
But I also have a policy if I don't show people in a bad light, right? So I've got a couple of really classic photos. I got one great photo of some Japanese guy getting drug out of a bar, and he's got 2 cops on each arm, and he's screaming and kicking. And it's the most fantastic photo. And I got it home, and I looked at it, and I deleted it because I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna post that thing somewhere.
Right, of course.
Who knows the background to that story? And you walk around Roppongi or somewhere on New Year's Day, and you can have blog posts for a year. Just people sleeping, holding the phone against their ear, passed out asleep with a briefcase in their hand, and you can just get amazing images. But I don't want to make images that way.
There was a topic. I remember there was a time when whether it was Gizmodo or Petapixel or one of the big blogs was featuring different street photographers and different approaches. And you'll know his name. I mean, there's I think a Korean American guy in San Francisco or LA or West Coast guy.
Oh, Eric.
Yeah, kind of. He's got a really, really kind of aggressive, obnoxious style that really kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But it is unquestionably effective. But then you have the opposite style. Like they show different people different styles, and you've obviously got a very friendly style.
What was his style, Hiko?
Well, maybe Dave can explain this.
On-camera flash. I think I know Eric, and I think he's pretty reserved compared to others. I mean, the one that everybody is kind of polarized around is Bruce Gilden.
Yeah.
Who, Bruce Gilden's a photographer in New York who just sort of
Attached
jumps in front of people with a flash, and he gets some absolutely amazing images.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on the style you want, right? And that might work in New York City better than maybe in other places.
Yeah, Bruce Gilden, right? Yeah.
But I want to leave the world better than I found it, so I don't, if I go take Hiko's photo, I want him to leave it and feel good about that experience, and maybe I can send him a cool photo, as opposed to like, God, that guy's a jerk. Like, why did he just do that?
Right. Yeah.
So let's get back into the photos. That's an awesome shot.
Thanks.
And I know this one very well. And this is, we were talking about long exposure photography. This is obviously one of those. It looks great.
That's right. Yeah, so this one was Singapore, and I was staying in Singapore for a week doing some business, and I actually had to get up every morning to take this photograph. And I ended up writing a post about it called "Working the Shot" because it was, you don't always get the great shot, and this was a landscape shot I really wanted to take because I've got a lot of friends in Singapore, so I wanted to give them prints, and I think I had to get up at like 4:30 or something in order to get this light. And this morning happened to be great because it just rained out, so the cement was nice and wet, which makes a nice effect. I just really like how this one came out, and I posted it on Facebook at 7 a.m. and I ended up selling a print by like 8 a.m. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be willing to sell me a print of that picture?"
Really?
So I thought that was pretty cool.
How often does it happen that you post something on your blog and people say, "I want a print of that"? So, and what happens with that? They email you and they ask for the full resolution, and you send it to them, or?
Well, so back when I did this one, I didn't have a print shop. I now have a print shop on my portfolio site where people can order prints.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just me. If somebody mailed me and asked for a print, then I would print it, then I'd run down to this printer in Ginza and have it printed out, and I'd send it off. But it was a very labor-intensive process.
So now, if I went to your blog and I saw a photo I thought was awesome, and I could maybe ask for it, and what happens? You'd quote a price for it, or?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's looking for it for commercial reasons, then yeah, I'd license out the image to them. And then in my portfolio shop, I've sort of picked out 10 or 15 images that I really like. I think this is one of them. That I then offer as a couple different size prints. because it depends on what I'm shooting. If it's shot on like 35mm film, you can only go certain sizes. If it's shot on medium format film, you can print it much larger.
Does it make a big? What's the difference if you shoot digital as opposed to film for doing prints?
With the sensor size, right? So if I shoot like a 35mm piece of film, you're only going to be able to print it about the size of like an A4 piece of paper. If you're going to want
really?
high resolution. And if I'm shooting digital, I can print much larger.
Yeah. Okay, so digital's better for doing the enlarge.
For large print, sure, or you've got to switch to medium format film.
By the way, I've just had a thought. So Victor, it sounds like we have some giveaways, which we should be.
Yes, I was wondering when we were going to get to that because I'm antsy.
Yeah. So you set the competition. Because I guess we'll do the giveaways probably through you. But Dave is very generously.
Dave, what are you offering the 2.5 Oyaji guests here today?
Yeah, so, well, it's up to you guys, but we talked about we could do some ShootTokyo t-shirts if people are interested, or we can do a ShootTokyo book. So the book will be coming out in August. So, or maybe you offer both, and whoever wins can choose which one they'd like.
Well, you know what? The typical kind of thing is, I think you have like one book and 3 t-shirts or something, and we kind of try to figure out. But we have to come up with a contest to justify this, which has to be based on the comments. So I'll tell you what, we'll do it from now. And I mean, for me, I don't know what is the. we're running out of time, but what is the most awesome? What is the most awesome? People think of questions that we can ask Dave, and we can just judge what we think like the best question on the whole thing is. Or what? You got a better idea, Victor?
Yeah, do something like that and let people vote up the questions.
For just a comment one, that's a tough one. If you wanted to give people a bit more time, you could suggest they do a video response to this, and we could take our time choosing. But
there's no video responses on YouTube anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Dude, welcome to 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you send us a fax.
Yeah, so let's do questions. I mean, questions probably the easiest then. Okay,
let's do a comments base. So everyone, I want your best comments, and I'm going to go through and we're going to judge the best comment, and whatever judge, well, we can have vote ups on the questions, but I think whatever Dave, and after this video, all of you think of questions. Maybe Dave, you can do a follow up or tweet or something, or you'll have the chance to go in the comments later anyway.
Dave, do you make YouTube videos as well?
I make only a few. I've done like kind of a year-end in photography. I attached a GoPro to my car one time and drove around.
Oh, you got a GoPro as well? Wow.
Yeah, I got a GoPro.
Is this my imagination? On your Kickstarter page, which also I've got to show, so I might just quickly go to that. Did you or did you not post the video on Vimeo?
I did. I did.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
No, not on Vimeo. It was on my videos on whatever Kickstarter's video thing is.
I think it's Vimeo, but which is totally cool. In fact, there is a thing about Vimeo. It kind of does add a certain veneer of class to videos that you.
It's elitist.
Oh, excellent. Well, I have the same video also on YouTube as well. So it's my channel trailer on YouTube.
I see. By the way,
I got it. Just give us the comment why you deserve the book.
No, that's a good one.
Why do you think what makes you so special that you deserve a book from Dave Powell, ShootTokyo, founder and master? That's the question.
So let's do it this. Yeah, exactly. So how about best comment? I mean, honestly, best comment, funniest joke, best why I deserve it, best question, whatever. The three of us will look after the video through the comments. Yeah. We'll announce next week 1 book and 3 shirts. Something like that.
Sure. I would say I'm prone to favor comments that have comedy and nudity.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe more comedy than yes. The answer is
of course, I'm joking, Dave. I don't know how many of our videos we
also, I'm just going to say that whoever says that the answer is 42 as their comment is immediately disqualified.
Yes, and deleted. Oh.
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys are already disqualified.
I hope you already deleted those comments.
So okay, so that is the contest that is going. So witty comments and good questions and everything. Now let's get back into the photos. So I have to.
Let's see a couple more photos. Are you okay with time, Dave?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so what's this one? I do not recognize this building.
Just a minute. Where is that? Hold on. That must be some Malaysia or Saudi Arabia or somewhere.
Nope. Anybody?
Oh, it's San Francisco.
That's right.
Okay.
So this is, and this ended up being a photo of luck. So this is the Transamerica building in San Francisco. So I did a photo walk with a bunch of people from Google, and as we were walking back, the clouds were just starting to cover the Transamerica building, and the little tip of the building is tin, and it was just at the right time when the sun started hitting the tin, and it just worked out really well. And that one's shot on film as well.
No, so this was on a Google photo walk, so there were like 1,000 Google Glass photos taken of this.
Yeah, there were quite a lot of people with me at the time, and it was filmed, so I didn't, and I was traveling, so I didn't get to see the photo for like 6 or 8 weeks. Yeah. So when I got to see it, it was a very rewarding experience to see that photo.
That's interesting.
Let's go to the next one. Oh, I love this.
Oh, I love this picture. This is
there's a great story behind this one. So when you write a blog, you get lots of strange emails, direct messages, Facebook posts, and I got a comment from a woman on Facebook, and she said, "Hi, I work for some executive at this company called True Sense Imaging. If you don't know who we are, we make all the internal parts for your camera, and we want to build a gallery in our lobby of your photos. Nice. Would you be willing to sell us some prints?" And I was like, "This can't be real." And then then she asked me for how to pay me, and I was like, "Okay, maybe it is real."
Yeah.
And then she sent me photographs, and so she ended up buying this one and several other photos, and made a small gallery in their lobby of my photos. And it was interesting. A couple people bought books through my Kickstarter, and they said they ended up finding my website because they were visiting the company and saw the photos. And there's there's a little like plate underneath the photos. But this one's obviously Negro River, Naca Negra.
Right.
And I'm shooting this one with a Noctilux lens, which is a 0.95 lens. So if you look very closely at this photo, that center flowers is the only thing in focus.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can tell. I mean, that's the beauty of the photograph. So I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, what happened? Error.
Sorry, an error occurred.
What the hell?
Another error. What happened?
Sorry, I'm just going to try to refresh this page. Let me try this again. Oh, here we go. Shibuya Station. That's the interesting.
I like this one too.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You did the same thing with the geisha. You had this kind of this donut of darkness.
Well, so this one was, if you remember, this was right after the earthquake.
And there was actually no light.
Yeah, there was no light anywhere. So all these scenes that a lot of us were very familiar with, right? Like the bright lights of Shibuya Station, the crowds of Shibuya Station, it was very empty and there was no light anywhere. And I was kind of standing,
Oh, so wait a minute. This isn't post. This isn't a vignette or anything like that. This is actually how it was. This is just.
That's impressive.
Yeah, this is Hachiko, like right in front of Hachiko exit, and that's the line, right?
Oh, I recognize the spot, but okay, so it was that dark everywhere else in Shibuya.
Yeah, it was pitch black.
Wow. I get it now. Wow, that's cool because that's an effect that people, use filters and do all.
Yeah, I thought it was a filter or something. Yeah, I was impressed.
But that's just.
No, that would just be a little too much photoshopping.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I cleaned up a couple of things above the light. There were a couple other random lights up there, but for the most part, it was pitch black.
Yeah, that's it. But I remember that was a really weird time, and that this actually now when you said that context of it being after the quake, and I started to think, wait a minute, and now it just clicked with me. Oh, this is actually how it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was creepy, and again, it rained out, right? So you can see you get that really cool lighting effect on the ground.
Yeah, the city's always beautiful after it rains. Everything reflects more. There's light everywhere. Yeah.
Cool. Love this one.
This is one of my favorites.
The quintessential.
It seems like a great picture of this guy. Like I want to meet that guy. I want to party with this guy.
Well, so this was again like I was pre-exposed, ready to take the photograph, and I think this was probably the third or fourth shot, and this guy was as soon as he realized I was taking his photograph, he stood at attention very seriously, ready to pose for the photo. So this guy was fantastic.
Oh, I love it. And everything else about it as well. And of course, this is the great thing about just how every person on the train is in their own little world and doing something slightly different. I mean, that's just, you know, and this is where I stand on those trains and in those packs and just think, how do you take a photo of this? But you did it. No, it's cool.
Yeah, I like this photo a lot. I'm pretty happy with this one.
That's cute.
So this is when I first started just taking snapshots of people, right? And this is very much a snapshot.
My wife has that same sweater.
I love this. You know, this girl, you know, she's rocking her Princess Leia pom-pom ear things. I mean, she was just very confident in her very unique style. And I literally just walked over and said, "Do you mind if I take your photo?" You know, now I try not to get people with the peace sign, but her photo is just. You know, that's actually a unique skill in Japan is being able to take a photograph of somebody prior to the peace sign being raised.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, it's nothing wrong with the peace sign, as I always say. But yes.
That's right.
And this is cool. So let me try to guess where this is. Is this like a shitamachi? I mean, it's got that vibe about it.
This is actually Yanaka.
Sorry?
This is Yanaka Station.
Okay.
So this guy was great because, I mean, again, I'm shooting a 28mm lens, so I was, you know, if I reached my arm out, I would have touched his knee.
Really?
Yeah, and the guy literally just kind of looked up at me and then looked back down on his phone and didn't kind of seem to care I was there.
The garake and the cigarette and the hairstyle, I like it.
Oh, he's smoking. Wow, you're allowed to smoke. He must have not. I'm lucky I wasn't there.
In Yanaka you can.
Yeah, and he's rocking his wingtip shoes and he's got, like, you know.
Yeah.
He's just all decked out. It was a
character.
He's a really good character.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I love this. I mean, this is how 18-year-olds huddle outside of convenience stores in outer suburbs, and you know, he's got his. Yeah,
you know, that squat where your heels are actually touching the ground, very few foreigners can actually do. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
I can't do it. Can you do it?
I wouldn't get up again.
Yeah. Well, the only time you really have to do this is using a squat toilet, and I'm 10 seconds and I'm falling back into it. Oh.
Oh, it's Funashi.
Yeah.
No, it's
the Korean thing. It's the.
No, this was the crazy KGB rabbit thing from MTV or something, isn't it?
Right. So I think it's Korean animation, but it's very popular in Japan.
Right. Yeah. So this was a festival in Jiugaoka, and.
Jiugaoka, nice.
Yeah, it was fun. This kid kept like hitting the rabbit, and it just made me laugh.
I had to go and show off. Yes, Blakovich. I guess you guys already figured that out by now, but yeah. I've never seen one that size though. That's amazing.
From the photo of the same character.
Walking around on the street, so.
Yeah.
Usavich, that's his name.
Oh, cool.
Usavich. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is that Shiba or Akita? Shiba.
This dog has the little Shiba. This was just at an Irish pub in Jiugaoka, and it was very funny to see this, you know, this scene. And this is one of the times I was using flash photography, and it was just funny to see this, you know, this guy with very cool pants on, and
the pants are a feature, yes.
You know, he had these two dogs with him. It was just a neat scene.
Yeah. Wow, this is confronting.
Oh wow.
This is Ginza,
this one.
Was this Shinjuku?
This is Ginza. This guy was great, and he's also shooting a Leica camera.
Yeah, is that a Leica he's got?
Yeah, he's got a Leica camera.
There you go.
Wow.
So he's not doing too bad.
That's amazing.
So I guess you get to a certain point of being rich, and you just do whatever the hell you like, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. and if it was in color, you'd notice that he's actually wearing an Alice in Wonderland outfit.
Cool.
So it's bright blue and white, but very unique, but a hell of a character, and was kind enough to stop and pose for me.
And I love how the so you've got the short focal length lens that makes the pop out of the photo at you. It's kind of almost 3D.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, so that is cool. I'm going to put this back on. Yeah. So in terms of the hour is nearly. I can tell actually. If it's okay with you, we'd love to get you back on again sometime, because I can tell that we still have endless things that we could probably talk about, and that people.
Yeah, I want to hear more stories about pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, happy to.
But I guess at this point, so everybody, think of just any random awesome comment, be it witty comment, funny comment, question, whatever. We're going to come back and look through, and there's going to be one copy of the book, and there are going to be 3 T-shirts, the best comments. So
what's the time limit? 2 days?
We're going to announce on the next week's show.
Okay.
But I guess we'll circle back. We'll contact each other, and we'll get Dave to pick the 4 comments that he likes the best.
Okay, awesome.
If that's okay, and we'll announce next week.
And the Kickstarter, there's how many days left on it?
Oh, yeah, the Kickstarter.
Yes, Kickstarter, please. Tell us about the Kickstarter.
Let me check. Hold on. It ends in like 2 days, I think. It ends Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Japan time.
Okay.
There's underneath the video and the video information about the Kickstarter. I'm just going to throw it up on the screen.
31,000? You made another? Jesus Christ! You're doing so well. I mean,
yeah, it's been
another 6,000 since last week.
Yeah, I've been.
Congratulations! That's good. That just shows how many people are inspired by your photographs.
I've been very fortunate.
So what are the pledges? And this is the thing. This is what I love about Kickstarter, is that it's not just about trying to fundraise to a target, but it's actually like you're actually offering something for the different donations. So we go through. I see for $10 you get a nice big thanks and appreciation.
and Zen.
And Zen, yeah. So it's a double pack.
Yeah.
For $20 you get the digital image pack, 100 of your favorite photos as wallpaper screensavers. Oh, and you know what? Because there were comments asking for you to put more wallpapers and so on your blog. But this is if you donate $20, you get a whole bunch of wallpapers of 100+ photos.
Yep.
So there are people already interested in that. For $30, the digital version of the book. So you're going to release an ebook version of the book.
Yeah, I'll have an EPUB version that you can use on your iPad or your Android device.
I got that one, but now I'm thinking I should have gone for the $60 of the hardcover book.
Click Manage My Pledge.
Yeah. Oh, you can upgrade. I manage my pledge. You can upgrade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You should go do that. So you're not locked in.
All right.
So what is this? This is an actual copy of the book.
Yeah, so this would be the actual book. And for anybody who thinks I'm going to be leaving with this giant pile of money, I have spent every cent trying to make the most badass book I can.
Excellent point. I was talking with Dave about this before we started recording, and he was telling me about how basically the fact that the Kickstarter has gone above the target, every cent is being spent on getting the best possible quality book. And pulling out all the stops, so the book is going to be really awesome, just from what I'm hearing.
Oh well, I'm definitely upgrading then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started with I was going to do on-demand printing of a soft cover book, and because it's done so well, and I'm now able to do what's called offset printing, we do a big professional run of prints. I'm now upgrading everybody to a hardcover book.
Yeah.
And then I probably shouldn't have been allowed to choose the paper and the materials, because we went there and the guys kind of said, all right, this is okay, good, better, best, like Rockstar. And I'm like, okay, what's the tier above Rockstar?
Tier above Rockstar.
That's what we ended up going with.
Comatose? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's going to be fantastic.
Okay.
Rehab.
Rehab.
That's right.
So for $90, you get the book and a T-shirt. For $125, you get the book, 8 by 12-inch print. For $250, which 9 people have gone for, you get the book. I'm sorry, so you get the book in a bigger print?
Yeah, you get a large size print.
Bigger print, yeah.
Yeah. I see, yeah, 12 by 8. For $500, you get a personal guided photo tour around Tokyo for a day with a T-shirt and a signed book. That's kind of cool. And there are 5 people you're going to give these photo tours to.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing, a lot of people have asked, I'm going to sign any book if people want, so the way Kickstarter works is you send a survey at the end. So anybody who just requests for a signed book, I'll send them.
And you know what? The next time we get you on the show, the first thing I want to ask you, and the first question I wanted to ask you tonight that I never asked you was, I wanted to talk about photo spots around Tokyo, actually, like places that you like to go and places that you recommend for people coming here.
Okay, I've actually wrote a whole long post about that called Shooting Tokyo, so we can do another one of those, and I can kind of walk through the locations.
I'd love to do that. And I think that because that's also a great Tokyo guide is for people. There's so many people who come here and they come here with their cameras and they want to do what they want to find the places that you'd say where you can find good shots or different types of shots. But so do you have a rough idea in mind of what a photo tour a personal photo tour would be, or?
Oh, Yeah, I've had a few people ask me, and you know, if I get friends that come to Tokyo, or you know, often if there's somebody who's a reader of ShootTokyo and wants to kind of go around, it depends what they want to shoot, but you know, usually kind of follows the same kind of recipe of, you know, we'll maybe shoot around, you know, Shinjuku, or shoot around, or maybe sorry, you start off shooting around maybe Shibuya or Roppongi area or Aoyama or something, and I mean, I like to shoot, like I really like Yakitori Alley. So you can kind of go to the Yurakucho version or the Shinjuku version, but I kind of like that, you know, alley with smoke and
I know exactly what you mean.
Restaurants.
Yeah.
For me, that's really what I like to see.
Cool. So that sounds awesome. And for $750, and still open for anyone who still wants to get for the grand package. You get the photo tour, the shirt, the book, the sign, the print. You get the whole shaboodle, pretty much. Which
the whole taco, the whole tamale, yes.
By the time you get to this point, you're pretty much be getting everything anyway.
That's right.
So that is awesome. This is going for 1 more day or 2 more days. What is the time? There must be a...
Yeah, it should end on Saturday morning, so 56 hours, so a little over 2 days left.
Yep. So this is the thing. You can go, if you go and see if you like the photos that we've been talking about, and go and check out his blog. I mean, this is a way of, not only a cool way of getting the book, but you get to participate in the, you know, the more people pre-order through the Kickstarter, the more the quality of the book and everything itself is being taken up.
Wow.
So it's a really great way to I think order the book.
And if you're a photographer, I would highly recommend a project like this, because if you think about it, you have to first of all get all your images cleaned out, right? And you've got to go. I had to go through 25,000 images or something. I ended up printing off 500 images and laying them out to try to figure out which image I thought might make the book.
Yeah.
And now something like 110 images or 105 images are actually making it into the book. You know, so you have images that you love that you have to say, like my taxi photo isn't making the book.
Wow.
Because it didn't fit the story.
It's
right,
like
of course. It's ShootTokyo, not New York.
It's like being forced to rank which children you love more, isn't it? It's kind of tough.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you love them all, but you have to actually use a fixed number, and it can't be all of them.
That's right, and it was a very interesting process. But then you know, you're actually setting up a full-blown business, right? Because I had to figure out distribution. I had to figure out, you know, you kind of have to run it like a P&L. You have to figure out how do you produce, and you know, how do you market this, and how do you kind of get to market with it. So it was a really interesting exercise.
You know, and maybe that's a follow-up show. So maybe after this goes out, and when we've got the books and so on, and I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, after August.
Yeah. There's our follow-up. There's our follow-up, and we can talk a little bit more about, you know, like your advice for people and so on as well. And we really even talked about cameras actually, which is like I thought. I mean, again, we've got a different angle on it slightly, but we could talk about cameras just for an hour as well. So, you know, this 1.5. We usually cut it off at 1, and we're at 1 hour 20, and it still feels like it was short. So that's a sign of a good show. Thank you very much for joining us, and this is great. And everybody, I mean, this stuff is great, and you can go and see for yourself and judge for yourself. But this is a Kickstarter, you know, I think well worth backing if you've got any interest in what we've been talking about. And many thanks to Dave for joining us tonight.
Cool, awesome, thanks guys. See ya.
Remember, leave your comments if you want to.
That's right. There's a book.
Is it a book or a T-shirt? One of each. What is it? One just one.
One book for the best comment, and 3 shirts for the follow-up best comments, and we'll announce who the winners of that are next week. So think of witty comments or whatever, and put them in there, and whichever grab Dave's attention is, oh, that is an awesome comment. That next week, you could get a free copy of the book or a shirt.
All right. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys.
I'm gonna do.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Peace out.
Good night. Peace out.
Okay. Boom. Stop broadcast. Stopping.